Srimad Bhagavatam, Jai Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. It's full. Today we are reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 1, text 26 to the end of the chapter. Where did they end yesterday? Okay. So what did you remember from yesterday? What was the main topic? Yes, Nate.
Vidura's on a pilgrimage.
Pilgrimage. What is a good pilgrimage? What makes a good pilgrimage? Yes. What is your name?
Hi. So basically, like, what makes a good pilgrimage is like something when you like do spiritual discovery, or it's like you expand upon your spiritual knowledge. You just like visit every temple and just like expand on your Krishna consciousness knowledge.
Yeah, that's one aspect. What makes a pilgrimage complete? Yes, Brahma.
Going to a holy place and speaking with the devotees, the Vaishnavas that are there.
Yeah, to hear, to associate with those who are themselves considered, just by being there in those places, those great devotees, they're considered themselves to be like places of pilgrimage.
Person Bhagavat.
Yes. So this is what was described, and then what happened right at the end of the description of his travels. What happened to Vidura? In the last
Pilgrimage, I become like fully and completely and purely Krishna conscious, I think.
Yes, that's the goal, and obviously Vidura achieved that. But just in a storyline time, what was, as he was doing his travels, what happened? There was something, he met somebody. Who did he meet? Yes, he will eventually meet Maitreya, but who did he meet yesterday? Vidura, yes, who did he meet yesterday? Uddhava, yes, okay. So you're all caught up. So now, when he saw Uddhava, he began to ask him questions. And now, the storylines of this part of the Bhagavatam, they're intersecting with so many other storylines from the first canto, from the Mahabharata, from the 11th canto, from different places. They're all intersecting right here. And so sometimes it's helpful to get a little orientation of what's going on. So Uddhava, of course, not all of you have attended the last year's classes where we heard a little bit about Vidura instructing his elder brother in the first canto, but that is after the third canto. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is not always chronological. So we have to kind of go with that and understand that the presentation of Srimad Bhagavatam is being presented for us, not just to give us a historical timeline, but is to give us step-by-step concrete understandings of different aspects of Krishna consciousness, which will ultimately bring us to the point where we can just fully devote ourselves to hearing about Sri Krishna, Swayam Bhagavan, the absolute Supreme Personality Godhead, his pastimes. So exactly, why it's falling in this part, but we do have to put the puzzle together sometimes, because well, in the first canto we heard about Vidura instructing Dhritarashtra, which would have been right after this time period. So anyway, he meets Uddhava, and so we have to read a lot of verses. Have you been just reading the translations as a group, or do you? Okay, so why don't we do that? I'll read it 25, and then everybody get ready with the microphone to jump right in on the next verse. Then, meaning like after he met, the last verse, he happened to meet Uddhava, great devotee of Lord Krishna. Then, due to his great love and feeling, Vidura embraced him, Uddhava, who was a constant companion of Lord Krishna and formerly a great student of Brihaspati's. Vidura then asked him for news of the family of Lord Krishna, the personality of Godhead.
They're the original personalities of Godhead. Born out of the Buddhist love, of prosperity, the elegant element.
Please tell me whether the best. Please tell me whether the best friend of the Kurus, our brother-in-law, Vyasadeva, is doing well. Vasudev.
Yeah.
Sorry. He is very munificent. He is like a father to his sisters, and he is always pleasing to his wives.
So this will begin this is also reminiscent of Arjuna asking questions, or Yudhisthira asking questions of Arjuna. Well, how is this person and how is that? So when we meet somebody, naturally we want to know about who they've met. And Uddhava was well known to Vidura, and knowing Uddhava's connection with Sri Krishna, obviously that's who he really wanted to hear about. But he also wanted to hear about all those associates of Krishna as well. So each one of these verses, we won't be able to give you the history behind each one of these personalities because our time is limited. But these will all be, the histories are within the Srimad Bhagavatam later, in the later part of the 10th canto, because mostly he's asking about the Yadus. So
Oh, Uddhava, please tell me, how is Pradyumna, the commander-in-chief of the Yadus, who was Cupid in a former life? Rukmini bore him as her son from Lord Krishna by the grace of Brahmanas whom she pleased.
is that a new speaker? That's the problem right there.
For my friend, tell me whether Ugrasen, Sattvatas, Krishna, Moja, and Rashad is now doing well. He went far away from his king. Beside all hopes of his royal throne, but Lord Krishna again returned.
One does samba very well. He exactly resembles the son of the personality of Godhead. In a previous birth, he was born as Kartikeya in the womb of Lord Shiva, in the womb of the wife of Lord Shiva. And now he has been born in the womb of Jambati, the most enriched wife of Krishna.
O Uddhava, does Yudhana fare well? He learned the intricacies of the military art from Arjuna and attained the transcendental destination, which is very difficult to reach even for great renouncers.
Is another name, Satya. That's a very powerful microphone. Next.
Please tell me whether Akrura, the son of Shvapalka, is doing well. He is a faultless soul surrendered unto the personality of Godhead. He once lost his mental equilibrium due to his ecstasy of transcendental love and fell down on the dust of a road which was marked with the footprints of Lord Krishna.
As the Vedas are the reservoir of all sacrificial purposes, so the daughter of King Devakabuja conceived the Supreme Personality of Godhead in her womb, as did the mother of the demigods. Is she, Devaki, doing well?
May I inquire whether Anirudh is doing well? He is the fulfiller of all the desires of the pure devotees and has been considered from yore to be the cause of the Rig Veda, the creator of the mind, and the fourth plenary expansion of Vishnu.
O sober one, others such as Hridika, Charudeshna, Gada, and the son of Satyabhama, who accept Lord Sri Krishna as the soul of the self and thus follow his path without deviation, are they well?
Also, let me inquire whether Maharaj Yudhisthira is now maintaining the kingdom according to religious principle, with the respect for the path of religion. Formerly, Duryodhana was burning with envy because Yudhisthira was being protected by the arms of Krishna and Arjuna, as if they were his own arms.
Please tell me whether the unconquerable Bhima, who is like a cobra, has released his long-cherished anger upon the sinners. The field of the battle could not tolerate even the wonderful playing of his club when he stepped on the path.
Please tell me whether Arjuna, whose bow bears the name Gandiva, and who is always famous against the chariot warriors for vanquishing his enemies, is doing well. He once satisfied Lord Shiva by covering him with arrows where Shiva came as an unidentified false hunter.
Are the twin brothers who are protected by their brothers doing well? Just as the eye is always protected by the eyelid, they are protected by the sons of Pritha, who snatched back their rightful kingdom from the hands of their enemy Duryodhana. Just as Garuda snatched nectar from the mouth of Indra, the thunderbolt carrier.
Oh my Lord, Pritha still living? She lived only for the sake of her fatherless children. Otherwise, it was impossible for her to live without King Pandu, who was the greatest commander, who alone conquered the four directions, simply with the help of a second bow.
O gentle one, I simply lament for him, Dhritarashtra, who rebelled against his brother after death. By him I was driven out of my own house, although I am his sincere well-wisher, because he accepted the line of action adopted by his own sons.
And just to put this a little bit into context, earlier, I think yesterday you heard he was driven out of the palace, right? So the time span between that point of driving out to this point is about 36 years, 35 or 36 years. So it's a long time that Vidura was out on this pilgrimage. And there were no WhatsApp and there wasn't any cell towers. So he couldn't get the news of the destruction of the Yadu dynasty, which will be revealed. And he also he felt most certain that the Kurus, he did get some information that that war had concluded, because he mentioned here they snatched it back from Duryodhana. But just to know that he's thinking that I was driven out of there, but this was like, when we're reading the book, we're thinking, oh, that just happened yesterday. But no, long period of time. 42.
I am not astonished at this, having traveled over the world without being seen by others. The activities of the personality of Godhead, which are like those of a man in this mortal world, are bewildering to others. But I know of his greatness by his grace, and thus I am happy in all respects.
Despite his being the Lord and being always willing to relieve the distress of sufferers, he, Krishna, refrained from killing the Kurus, although they committed all sorts of sins, and although he saw other kings constantly agitating the earth by their strong military movements carried out under the dictation of three kinds of false pride.
Appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth?
O my friend, please therefore chant the glories of the Lord, who is meant to be glorified in the places of pilgrimage. He is unborn, and yet he appears by his causeless mercy upon the surrendered rulers of all parts of the universe. Only for their interest did he appear in the family of his unalloyed devotees, the Yadus.
That's the end of the chapter. But we are going to go back to text 44. Focus on that verse and purport today. So we'll chant the verse. Ajasya janmod patanashanaya karmanya kartur grahanaya pumsam nanvanyata kor hati deha yogam haro nanam utakarma tantram.
Ajasya janmod patanashanaya
Ajasya janmod patanashanaya karmanya kartur
अन्यथा को हति देह योगम
nanvanyata kor hati deha yogam
अनाम
Ajasya janmod patanashanaya karmanya kartur nanvanyata kor hati deha yogam haro gunanam utakarma tantram. Ajasya janmod patanashanaya karmanya kartur nanvanyata kor hati deha yogam haro gunanam utakarma tantram. Word all together. Ajasa of the unborn. Janma appearance. Utpata nashanaya for the sake of annihilating the upstarts. Karmani works of Kartur, of one who has nothing to do. Grahanaya, to take up. Pumsam, of all persons. Nanu Anyataha, Ka, who, Arhati, may deserve. Deha Yoga, contact of the body. Para, transcendental. Gunana, of the ultimate. Puja, what to speak. Karma Tantra, law of action. And the translation. And this is a really wonderful verse. You could have this, you could chant this verse and read this verse on a Janmashtami for appearance day. This is one of those, there'll be one of those classes and purports of Krishna's appearance and the purpose of Krishna's appearance. The appearance of the Lord is manifested for the annihilation of the upstarts. His activities are transcendental and are enacted for the understanding of all persons. Otherwise, since the Lord is transcendental to all material modes, what purpose could he serve by coming to earth? This is often the question. What, many concepts of God or understanding of God. If God is in his place, we're here. Why would he ever want to come here? So that will be revealed. But very importantly, this second sentence is very important. His activities are transcendental. So everything he does is transcendental. It's not what we would conceive of a normal human being. He is superhuman. Everything he does is transcendental. It's not affected by the modes of nature. He's not forced to work. And this, I really like this, that they are enacted for the understanding of all. So it's not that he's just the God of a certain place or a certain time. He is the Supreme Personality of God for all persons. Report by Srila Prabhupada. Ishvara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. The form of the Lord is eternal, blissful, and all-knowing. His so-called birth is therefore an appearance only, like the birth of the sun on the horizon. His birth does not, like that of the living entities, take place under the influence of the material nature and the bondage of the reactions of past deeds. His work and activities are independent pastimes and are not subject to the reactions of material nature. In Bhagavad Gita 4.14 it is said, Na mam karma nidam bhakti, na me karma palaspriha, iti mam yo vijananti, karma vina sabhate. The law of karma enacted by the Supreme Lord for the living entities cannot be applicable to him. Nor has the Lord any desire to improve himself by activities like those of ordinary living beings. Ordinary living beings work for the improvement of their conditional lives. But the Lord is already full of opulence, all strength, all fame, all beauty, all knowledge, and all renunciation. Why should he desire improvement? No one can excel him in any opulence, and therefore the desire for improvement is absolutely useless for him. One should always discriminate between the activities of the Lord and those of ordinary living beings. Thus one may come to the right conclusion regarding the Lord's transcendental position. One who can come to the conclusion of the Lord's transcendence can become a devotee of the Lord and can at once be free from all reactions of past deeds. It is said, Karmani nirdhati kintu cha bhakti bhajam. The Lord minimizes or nullifies the reactionary influence of the devotee's past deeds. Read the rest of the word. Shri Chaitanya Swayam Panchakalpa Padidana. So here, Prabhupada begins the purport of Krishna, speaking of Krishna's actions and how his actions are completely different from us. All of our actions in this world, in our body state, we're always looking for some improvement. When it's cold outside, well, how can I get a nice chadar or a nice sweat coat or something nice? How do I keep warm? And if we don't have it, we strive for it. And see the whole, just look out the door, everything is moving for this. They're always trying to improve a bit more, build upon. And in the name of progress, in the name of advancement of civilization, you see all these improvements are causing many disprovements elsewhere. Where does all the pollution go? Where does all the bad water contaminants go? By making this one thing that may have improved my life, but it's also disapproved, destroying other lives. But so when, that's our life. That's a very quick look into what the living beings in the world are. But when Krishna comes, Prabhupada quotes Krishna, I don't come to just to do activities, and I'm not looking for the phala, for the fruit of some action, but his purposes are transcendental. So that's what today's verse is saying. His activities are transcendental. They're not for just advancement human in a birth or a life. And so that's why, throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll hear the same statement by great devotees. Krishna's appearance is so confusing, it's so bewildering, because he's coming and it appears that he's like one of us. He takes birth, he has a certain place, and he's doing activities. So it's confusing. And then for us to say, well, that he is the Supreme Personality of God, I want to question that as well. But his transcendence is evident by his activities, by what he does. Yes, he may be doing things that look somewhat similar to what we are doing, but they're also, say, intertwined with things that we have no possibility of doing ever. And so that's where Prabhupada goes in the next paragraph of the purport. The activities of the Lord are to be accepted and relished. So we'll come back to that in a moment. Accepted and relished by all living entities. And this is also what Vidura is asking of Uddhava here in the last verse that we read. Please, please chant those glories of the Lord, because we relish them. His activities are to attract the ordinary man toward the Lord. The Lord always acts in favor of the devotees, and therefore ordinary men who are fruitive actors or seekers of salvation may be attracted to the Lord when he acts as the protector of the devotees. So Krishna's actions, in the very core of his actions, we're seeing firsthand, the very beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, our first glimpse of Krishna. What's he doing? He's protecting his devotees. He's protecting Arjuna. This is his quality. This is something he cannot give up. He is say, well, God can't do anything or can do everything, but this is something God can't do, cannot give up the protection and the love for his devotees. The fruit of actors can attain their goals by devotional service, and the salvationists can also attain their goal in life by devotional service to the Lord. The devotees do not want the fruit of works of their the results of their work, nor do they want any kind of salvation. Again, they relish the glorious superhuman activities of the Lord, such as his lifting Govardhan hill and his killing the demon Putana in infancy. His activities are enacted to attract all kinds of men, karmis, gyanis, and bhaktas, because he is transcendental to all laws of karma. There is no possibility of his accepting a form of Maya as is forced on the ordinary living entities who are bound by the actions and reactions of the beings. So this is intertwined with a lot of basic understanding, basic philosophy from our Bhagavad Gita, from Krishna's words, of how we are entrapped in the body, and how the material nature is driving all of the actions, and it's all based on these desires that one. Whether we desire salvation, whether we desire fruitive results or just sense gratification, or whether we desire to go beyond that. So this question, or this the doubt of, well, why does the Lord have to appear? Because yes, okay, we may conceptually understand the material world is for the living entities who wanted to enjoy separate from Krishna. Therefore, they go there, and I think a couple of weeks ago, we read in the second canto how Krishna actually helps us do that by making us forget him completely. So he's helping us in this too. So here's your place, and I'll also help you. You'll forget me, and now you can quote unquote enjoy. But again, we feel and we experience, well, maybe some enjoyment, but there's also plenty of suffering, and that mental suffering is usually is probably the worst part of it. But so he comes though. But he comes for the devotees, for those very same personalities that say he vanished. In other concepts of God, we hear the words banishment, we hear the words, but actually, material world is a very merciful place that Krishna has given us, because that's what we wanted. There was some desire to enjoy separate from Krishna. So here it is. Here's your place. But he doesn't just leave us here, which is the wonderful part of his appearance. Because here it's saying otherwise, why would the Lord come to earth? It's compared to our descriptions and what we hear about Goloka. I mean, why would Krishna ever come here to this earth? It's so, but he's coming for this particular purpose, to bring us back and to attract us. And I've quoted it before many times. One of my favorite verses is Srimad Bhagavatam in the 11th canto, where reading of Srimad Bhagavatam becomes a very personal, it can be made a very personal gift as given by Krishna to us. It's not just a compilation of some very wise personalities, but it is actually Krishna thinking about us. And if you just think of that for a moment, that we're trying to think of Krishna, but do we ever think, does Krishna think of us? And when we think that, what does that make you feel? How would that make you feel if you heard that Krishna is thinking of you? Krishna, the Supreme Lord, even if we don't have a great understanding, what would you feel? How do you feel? Even if you don't understand it, if you hear the concept, what would that make you feel? Feel loved? What else?
Me?
Yeah.
Really?
Even me? It just feel like, wow, this is the Supreme Personality of God who I want to worship. So this is what he's stated by, get which Nava Yoga it is, maybe Hubby. But he's he's also explaining this wonderful appearance of Krishna. Swamurtya lokalavanam irmuktam lochanam ninam kiribistan smaratam chittam padaistam ikshitam kriya. That he comes as himself. Swamurtya. It is his absolute, supreme, most attractive. And whenever we hear Prabhupada in the lecture, I'm listening right now to Prabhupada speaking in Nairobi, his first time to Nairobi. He just loves to explain Krishna, the word Krishna. He says he's the most attractive. It's anything you would think is attractive, he is more than that, more attractive. He's most swamurtya lokalapana. So when you see something very attractive, what happens? Like, even now, if we see something very attractive, what do? We kind of look. If it's something we're not supposed to look on, we kind of look on the side, right? But we're attracted, we're looking. And then, then our intelligence and I shouldn't be looking at this, and we look away. But Krishna, Loka Lavanam, Bir Mukta Lokanam. When you see Krishna, you don't ever want to look at anything else. Bir Mukta. When you actually can have a vision of Krishna, there's so much attraction there that you and this, it's just him being there. It's not like he had to create a system of religion or he had to write a whole bunch of books. He just stood there, and just by looking at it, imagine, because he's transcendence, and that's the whole purpose. Because he is transcendence, we're grappling, and we're as we get older, these senses are getting horrible. I can hardly see near or far anymore, and hearing goes bad, and everything is going bad. But when we see Krishna, that awakens a spiritual sense, not these material senses. Although right now, in this conditioned state, these are our tools to use. But when we see, and how do we see Krishna? We see Krishna also by hearing. We're hearing about Krishna. And that's it. The next one, Giribhistan Smaratam Chittam. When we, within our heart, within our mind, when we're remembering Krishna's words, the things that he spoke to us, and where do we have Krishna's words? In Sri Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, when we hear Krishna speaking, we take them into our heart. Smaratam chitta. Oh, it goes very deep. And what are we hearing? Padayistam ikshitam. We're hearing about his pastimes. Padayis means literally like walking. So it's Krishna's, he's appearing in this most beautiful form that if you look, you won't be able to look away. And when he speaks, those enter right into our heart. Srinvata Swakata, Krishna goes right into the heart. And when we hear about that also Nivitatar Shirupiyamana Osato Chotuma Manobiramat Tautamasho Nanabadat Pumam Vijay Ina Pashugna. So by hearing about Krishna, it's like a medicinal herb, Oshadi. It's a medicinal herb. This is one of the things that Uddhava also wanted to take birth as. So, Ulmalata. But I think there was Oshad also. It's like medicinal herb, creeper, or plant in Vrindavan. And by hearing Krishna, and this is our whole process. And that's what, I don't know if you saw it, but very, very tricky, you could say. This Srimad Bhagavatam opens up with or this chapter opened up with Sukadev Goswami planting something in Parikshit's mind. Because he said, Vidura went on pilgrimage. That's what you talked about yesterday, right? Vidura went on pilgrimage. And so Sukadev is thinking, Parikshit may think he should go on pilgrimage. But he said, Parikshit, what can be said about your good fortune? The Supreme Lord came to your home and he was amongst your family members. How fortunate are you? And Prabhupada writes in his purport that, yes, going on pilgrimage is very wonderful, but wherever there is this Kautama, wherever the Supreme Lord is being spoken about, wherever his glories are being chanted, that is the place of pilgrimage. That is just as good as a place of pilgrimage. And so this needs to be our focus. Let me just go continue hearing. Let me hear. And what are we hearing? We're hearing how he deals with his devotees so wonderfully, so personally. And then, I didn't even get to the part that makes this personal to us. Achidya kirtam shushodam, agat swam padam ishvaram. That by hearing about Krishna, by seeing his pastimes, by remembering his pastimes, by hearing his lila, what happens? By this, Krishna very easily spread his glories. He didn't have to do it. It's not like he had to do anything. I'm just gonna go. I'm gonna appear with my devotee. I'm gonna, have my pastimes. And what is the result? He said, the Lord Krishna considered that simply by hearing and chanting those glories, conditioned souls born in the future. That's me. We're all born in the future of Bhagavatam. Okay. Can say that. There's no time travel. We're all born in the future of this writing. We would cross beyond the darkness of ignorance. And then she became satisfied with this arrangement. Very happy that this is all I have to provide them. And then he left. He went to his own desired destination. So I've lost my voice and time is up. Time for a quick question. Oh, yes, you did.
It's wonderful hearing about how once we, like the desired stage of once we see Krishna, we don't want to see anything else. So how do we maintain, how to keep being attracted to Krishna? It's like when I go to Vrindavan, the mind is my senses are occupied with Krishna's darshan, his katha and everything. But then how do I keep that attraction to him when I'm not in a place of pilgrimage?
Yeah, and that's our challenge. That's our challenge. The more, and also a wonderful statement in the 11th canto, the more we hear about Krishna, the more we actually engage ourselves into doing, then we start to renounce desires for other things. Just as when we eat, we simultaneously get nourished, we get strength, and we get freedom from hunger. So the more we engage in it, and so we've talked about this before, that there are different ways of engagement in hearing of Krishna. There's picking up our, a lot of times, I try to catch myself because I also like to go on pilgrimage, and when I'm there, when I'm chanting in Vrindavan, it's like, oh, yeah, I can really chant. But like when I'm home, my bead bag is on the counter, and I'm like walking out, just grab the bead bag, Hare Krishna. It's like I'm starting the car. It becomes a very mechanical thing. But then I try to catch myself. Wait a minute. Just in Vrindavan, I was sitting very intently and very, concentratingly chanting. Why can't I do that here? So you have to. It's a little more of a endeavor. You have to endeavor. But if you just stop, before I just like turn that motor on and let the motor run, and then my mind is really what's going on, and the chanting is just like the background of the car. Just like when we're driving cars, we're not really listening to the engine unless it's giving a problem, right? So sometimes that's how our chanting is. It's just like, huh? White noise, yeah, becomes white noise. But then we have to stop it. We have to say it. And the first step is to recognize that. Okay, I just picked up my beads and I just started the engine. Okay, let's stop the engine just for a second. Gaunita is right here. Oh, Sri Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita, Gadadhar, Srivas, Adi Gaura. Oh, please, let me engage in chanting the holy names. And there's so much encouragement by the acharyas of how chanting the holy name is the key. It's the first thing. Also, it's our most dear thing of a devotee. So we start putting effort into that. Let me slow down. That's really what it is, because our mind is we're always doing the karmas and we're always moving. Let me go because I want to do this, and then after that I got to do this. And a lot of times we use our chanting time to figure all that scheduling out, right? But no, slow it down. The chanting should take the same amount of time, hopefully. But maybe even takes a little longer, but just slow it down for a moment. Think about it. Krishna's name is so potent. He has invested all his potencies in his name. So why not take advantage of that? So we slow ourselves down, we think of it, pray, and we try to chant, try to hear. So does that help a little? Yes.
The thing that comes to mind for me is how when the sages at Naimisharanya were asking Sutta Goswami, what's the best thing that we can do during this sacrifice for the fallen conditioned souls in Kali Yuga, the answer was Srimad Bhagavatam. And in that whole context, it's mentioned that it's the benefit of hearing from the right source in Sangha with the devotees is the same benefit of being in the personal presence of Lord Sri Krishna. And so one of the ways that we can maintain that vibrancy is, and the vibrancy of our chanting even, is to make a discipline to, even if it's just a little bit every day, to hear consistently Srimad Bhagavatam with rapt attention, not to study it, but to simply hear the voice of the literary incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And this transforms our consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Shruti to chase us out. But I'll hear about it if I don't like it. So, Hare Krishna. All glories to Srila. Yeah.